Welcome, everyone. What an exciting evening, a packed house. It's really unbelievable that we've gotten to this moment. Everyone's very excited, and with your permission, I'd love to share a few words of thoughts with you. Honored rabbis, fellow administrators, members of the faculty, of course, members of the board of directors who are here, parents, and of course, our dear graduates, Chodesh Tov, and thank you. When you walk into both Ol Pana and Or Chaim, you will see a plaque that honors those graduates who have gone on to national service, either in the army or through Shirut Leumi in Israel. B'nai Akiva Schools is the strongest and most overtly religious Zionist diaspora school that I have ever seen. And I, as your Rosh Yeshiva, will always support and encourage Aliyah. And as a result, my message and charge for you this evening might surprise you. You see, your high school experience has been informed, influenced, impacted, and in so many ways defined by a post-October 7th reality that is impossible to fully appreciate. The anti-Semitism that we have seen and endured here in Toronto is real. And somewhat as a result of that, we have heard a chorus of many within our community either calling for increased aliyah or at a minimum to at least leave Toronto and head south of the border. I have therefore decided to use this platform to suggest a countercultural move to tell our families to stay, and to you, our graduates, please return to Toronto. Now, before everyone starts throwing things at me, let me explain. I fervently believe that Medinat Yisrael is Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu, an expression of the Atchalta de Geula, and that we are currently living through Hashem's redemptive period. I believe that we are witnessing Nisim v'Niflot daily, and we are seeing the Yad Hashem dictate world events. And I know with certainty that our future and ultimate home for all of us will be in Israel. Anytime I speak about our schools, among the first statistic that I share with pride is that in the 50-plus years since our founding, we have seen over 30% of our graduates make Aliyah. Mitzvah Hashem, that number will continue to grow. And therefore, to those of you who decide to make Aliyah, kol hakavod to you. But to everyone else, please continue to keep Toronto your home and help us to strengthen our Torah community here. There are three key pieces to this that I'd like to elaborate on. Number one, we must recognize the importance of Jewish life in the diaspora. A few months ago, I was privileged to be on a small conference call with Rabbi Ephraim Mervis, the current chief rabbi of the UK. I asked Rabbi Mervis to give us Canadian rabbis insight into dealing with anti-Semitism. Rabbi Mervis shared that we can never despair, never stop working, never give up, and certainly never give in. He shared that there have always been strong Jewish diaspora communities, and we need to invest in them, both globally and locally. Running away is not the answer. I actually think that this applies to Rabbi Jonathan Sachs Zatzal more than most. Rabbi Sachs was an incredible religious Zionist who deeply wanted to live in Israel. He famously only spoke English and, of course, remained a leader within his British Jewish community because he felt that his mother tongue was where he could express himself most clearly. And he recognized the great roles that he filled in his diaspora community. Rabbi Sachs wrote, "You can be a minority living in a country whose religion, culture, and legal system are not your own, and yet sustain your identity, live your faith, and contribute to the common good." In 1941, the Lubavitcher Rebbe wrote a long letter to a leader in South Africa in which he said the following, again I quote, "Many a healthy and thriving Jewish community in the diaspora has been seriously weakened and in some cases destroyed by being despoiled of its leaders, religious and lay, and people of means and influence who not only are those who maintain their communities, but they are in fact the pillars of support of Eretz Yisrael." Similarly, Herschel Schachter once described a meeting he had with Rav Avram Shapiro in which Rav Shapiro told Rav Schechter that he is not allowed to leave New York because his community so sorely needs him. There have always been strong Jewish diaspora communities, and ad biat hagoel, until Hashem brings Mashiach, these diaspora Jewish communities will always need support from within. And this brings us to point number 2. We need leaders here, but to you, our graduates, we especially need lay and professional leaders who are 100% committed to Torah and mitzvot. This coming Shabbat, we will read Parshat Korach. The Medrash tells us that Korach came to Moshe Rabbeinu with a preposterous but yet mocking question. Does a house that's completely filled with holy Sfarim still require a mezuzah on its doorway? And if the whole house is already full of holiness, why do I need one small parchment on the door? The Babich Rebbe explains that the mezuzah sits on the threshold, and it connects the inside of the house with the street outside. The house full of Sfarim is a beautiful sanctuary, but the mezuzah is what reminds you to take that holiness along with you when you step out into the public sphere. Graduation is our metaphorical mezuzah. Graduation is the moment you step over that threshold. Do not let go of that mezuzah and always connect the Torah you have heard right here inside our walls of our schools with the life that you will live outside. Stay firmly rooted and steeped in Torah and mitzvot to best influence the world around you. So number 2, work on yourself. Make sure you are solid in your commitment, and only then can you truly be a leader in our Dati Leumi, modern Orthodox community. And that brings us finally to number 3, that if you find yourself choosing a diaspora community, we need you right here in Toronto. If you think about it, every one of us enters life already indebted to people we have never met. Long before we were born, people were building our Jewish community right here in Toronto. Someone raised money and built our shuls, our mikvot, our schools, our summer camps, all of our institutions. Leaders in our community sat through meetings after meetings. They poured over budgets. They gave huge sums of money that they could have spent on themselves. The leaders fought with our city. They cultivated relationships with political figures. And more recently, as we have seen, they established security networks. Jewish leaders have built institutions that were already old by the time we arrived on the scene. And because of their labor, we have inherited a thriving Jewish community. We are the beneficiaries. However, our Jewish community will not sustain itself based on the work that they did. Many of you will become doctors, lawyers, educators and rabbis, and business leaders, and many other professions. And that is wonderful. But I want you to think not just about what will I become, but how can I help Toronto? What can I do for our Jewish community? Said Rabbi Sachs in one of literally his most famous quotes, where what you can do meets what needs to be done, that is where Hashem wants you to be. A powerful line. I'll read it again. Where what you can do meets what needs to be done, that is where Hashem wants you to be. The Jewish ideal is not the detached philosopher sitting alone on a mountaintop. The Jewish ideal is the person who descends the mountain, carrying instructions for building a society, and then goes ahead and acts, does, works, builds, grows, and improves. Looking locally, we need to remain positive. We need to be optimistic. We need to focus on what we can do. I find it fascinating and somewhat perhaps contradictory that despite all the calls within our Jewish community to run from Toronto and the dire predictions and the dark narratives that we often hear, there are around $200 million of Jewish building projects that I know of going on around us in our city. Shuls, schools, Jewish organizational centers, kollalim, summer camps, and more. all here within the GTA, and all being done to support our growing Jewish community. Yes, growing Jewish community. When you look downstream at the number of students in our Jewish day schools, many of them are bursting at the seams. Opanan or Chaim have seen incredible growth in the last decade, and we're absolutely filled to capacity. Just last week, over 60,000 supporters participated in the Walk for Israel. Truly remarkable and incredible based on any metric one could imagine. We here in Toronto, we have our work cut out for us. We do need to remain politically active. We need to ensure that our voices are heard. We need to hold our politicians accountable, and we need to demand our rights, our freedoms, and our security. And I do not accept Bret Stephens' presumption that we should simply be building our own tables. We also need to fight to maintain our own seat at the table. We have lots to do, but we need you, our graduates. We cannot do it alone. Last week I read Rachel Goldenberg-Poland's book, When We See You Again. It is a remarkable work that I highly recommend. In it, she quotes an amazing Hasidic tale about a king who wanted to see if his son was fit to inherit the crown. He brought his son to the bottom of the castle's beautiful staircase, and there was a massive boulder almost completely blocking the wide steps in front of it. The king told his son, "I'm giving you 3 days to get this giant rock up to the second floor of the castle. If you succeed, then I know that you can become king." The prince spent the following days pushing, shoving, thinking, trying. No matter what he did, he could not get the boulder to budge even an inch. At the end of the 3 days, when his father returned, he said, "Father, I did everything I could, but I'm sorry, I failed. This was an impossible challenge you gave me." The king replied, "You could have gone to all the townspeople, all the royal staff. You could have come to me. I would have helped. I never said you had to complete the challenge alone. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor v'lo ata ben chorin lihibatel mimena." You, our graduates, you will not be alone here. You will always have help. The Jewish Toronto community is known worldwide, and it is a community that is absolutely worth investing one's efforts in. So allow me to close with a brief summary. B'nai Akiva Schools fervently believes in Aliyah. We have always celebrated it, and we always will. But that will still leave the majority who have not and will not yet make Aliyah. The return of our people to our land remains one of the greatest miracles of Jewish history. Today, Baruch Hashem, Jewish sovereignty has returned. That miracle should fill all of us with great gratitude and pride. And make no mistake about it, Jews in Canada and around the world, we are much safer and far better because of that. Those who build their futures in Israel deserve admiration. But Jewish history has never consisted solely of Jews living in Israel, and the Torah never described such a reality. To those of you who are not yet ready to make Aliyah, please return to Toronto, as the Frum Torah Orthodox community here needs you, and return as committed Jews that are ready to lead our religious Zionist community. Please take on the mantle of lay and professional leadership right here. We will need young professionals and lay leaders to run our schools, run our shuls, and run our institutions. Rabbi Aaron Lichtenstein Zatzal, my beloved Rosh Yeshiva, my teacher, my mentor, he once wrote, in only his words, "I hope and trust that I am neither so vain nor so foolish as to fantasize personally presumed superiority to peers who have chosen to serve the Ribono Shel Olam and to serve Knesset Yisrael within the context of a residence in the diaspora. And yet, without harboring illusions, I also trust that I am fully appreciative of the spiritual benefits harvested by my family and myself due to pitching our tent on the soil of Eretz HaKodesh. Please understand that irrespective of where we live, our prayers will always remain focused toward Yerushalayim. And we will continue to hope and pray daily that Mashiach should come speedily in our days. V'af al pi sheyitmameh im kol zeh achake lo b'chol yom sheyavo. Mazel tov to our graduate youth, Chodesh Tov to all, and thank you all for listening.